Right, good morning everyone. Let's get started on this week's outlook. All right, so let's briefly discuss this monthly chart. I'm going to go through it quickly, but as always, top-down analysis, right? So everybody can be aware of the situation. This is our current dealing range, our current bullish leg here on a monthly, this low to this high, right? So what we had done previously is taken the sell side liquidity, mitigated this bullish imbalance, and obviously that gave us a bullish leg, ultimately leading us into this bearish imbalance zone here and order block, right? So we've taken the buy side liquidity above these highs and above these previous monthly highs here, closed out as like a high test doji candle, and now I believe we're in the stages of a pullback, right? So this would be our premium and this is our discount here, which I've outlined with this box. So I believe price will pull back, right? So we'll have a bearish move on a monthly, which would just be a pullback, but a trend on the lower time frames towards our discount, our equilibrium, where we have a BPR, right, which is up close and a down close imbalance overlapping each other, and we have this bullish imbalance here as well. So we've got monthly discount draw on liquidity. So overall, this is the draw on liquidity. This will take multiple months to get to, so we'll see that probably in 2026 if that happens. The more immediate targets after taking our buy side liquidity here and having our sort of bearish reaction is these August 1st lows around this zone here. Okay, so we took out previous month's low, then we have another previous month's low there, and then of course we have those lower time frame targets in between. So those are the most obvious, right? So that's the monthly. Bearish pullback phase is what I expect, and these are our most obvious targets. So I hope that's clear. I hope the dealing range is clear from here to here, and this is our discount. So let's go down to the weekly and expand on this. Right, so here, zoomed in on the weekly, I'm just going to explain some price action just so people aren't lost. Of course, this is where we had that test of the monthly bearish imbalance. We took that previous month's buy side liquidity from over here, right, above all of these highs. And on the weekly, closed out as an obvious bearish indication, right, with this high test candle wick here. And we've been bearish slowly though, ever since. Okay, so what is this? This would have been a sort of bullish imbalance here. It was holding price, but what I'm going to draw your attention to, which I mentioned in my previous video, is how the wicks and bodies were respecting this as support previously. Now we've broken below it. You can see the bodies are respecting it as a resistance. Okay, so you can see how it's turned into a bearish imbalance there. All right, so that's just reading into price because we don't have any obvious weekly POIs or PDAs, right? We were just being held by price here for a long time. Price has broken down. We haven't left any imbalances, but we have pulled back, sort of retested this order block here. It's not the highest probability order block because there's no clear imbalance after it, but it is an order block. We've rejected that. And last week we had a nice bearish engulfing candle week again, right? And I expect price to continue that, heading for that August low, which is the more obvious sell side liquidity low. It's the low of the dealing range on the weekly. Dealing range from the weekly would be this low here to this high. But as I said, the weekly is not as clear. We'll see more clarity on the daily, but you can see how it's taking form, how it's using this imbalance, how it's using this order block here, right? And what I'm expecting is bearish momentum from the previous week to continue toward our 1st of August sell side liquidity target. Now, of course, we're going to have previous weekly low before then and the previous weeks before that low as well from the early November. Okay, and that would be part of this monthly pullback towards this imbalance here, right? But these are short-term, more immediate targets on the weekly and daily time frame. So let's go to the daily where we'll get most of our picture for our upcoming week. Right, so here on the daily, a lot more detail to digest. I'll go through it momentarily. But the overall picture is of course this market maker sell model, which I've mentioned in all my previous videos. So I will go through quickly and just briefly. I don't want to bang the drum for any repeat viewers, but we have this buy side curve on this side, sell side curve on this side. And then we have that overall target, which is where that buy side curve originated from, which is now our target for the sell side curve. Now what creates these curves? On this side, it would be price respecting bullish PDAs, bullish POIs, right? So bullish imbalances, bullish BPRs, bullish order blocks, creating high highs while price is targeting previous internal or external buy side liquidity, right, all the way up into this section here. And then where price reversed and now started respecting bearish PDAs, violating bullish PDAs, right, so bullish imbalances, turning them into resistance rather than support, for example. and respecting these bearish PDAs and POIs, that's when the creation of a sell side curve starts to come into effect, when that order flow changes, bullish order flow into bearish order flow. So you can see where that happened up here. We had this bearish BPR which was respected, price broke down, taking out that internal low here, pull back again into an OTE imbalance zone, order block zone here, price broke down again, targeting that internal / external sell side liquidity, right? And price kept respecting these, turning previous bullish imbalances into resistance and bearish PDAs for us to continue with price. So our current dealing range that we was within, we had this high to this low, we reacted from this bullish BPR, pulled back to the extreme premium of this leg, respected a old BPR here that was in past price action and respected the premium, and prices began to break down from there. Last week you can see we mitigated this imbalance here, but price may well head up for some extra buy side liquidity here into this imbalance, which was only partially mitigated before continuing down. We have the previous weekly low here, and we have our main draw on liquidity for this week, which is obviously that sell side liquidity low from that dealing range we expect price to head towards while completing our market maker sell model. So what do I have written here? We're expecting the bearish order flow to continue, respecting our bearish PDAs and market maker sell model to continue lower towards our multiple draws of the week. So previous weekly low, and then that previous November low here as well as our main draw on liquidity for this week. And then our overall draw of liquidity is obviously our market maker sell model target. So price is having a reaction from a bullish BPR here, right? So we've reacted to this one, but we also created another bullish BPR here, which price rejected on Friday. So we may seek out some liquidity and another imbalance, because price moves from imbalances to imbalances or imbalance to liquidity, and then we may reject this zone and continue going down, right? But we haven't seen the internal 4-hour, 1-hour price action yet, which may also be rejected within this candle, and we may continue down. However, usually we create like a high of the week, right, which could be Tuesday, Wednesday, so we may come up for these highs here as well. At the moment, you can see we have bullish SMT or SMC as well at this zone here, where DXY has already taken out this low, which would be a high. So this bullish reaction isn't surprising, but we'll see where price leads. We're waiting for price to top out and create a high of the week to continue down and take out these targets here. We're going to have our fractal targets on the 1-hour and 4-hour, which you'll see in a moment. So I hope this is clear. So any questions, just let me know. Right, so we have buy side curve, sell side curve, and the main draw for the week would be this previous low here, right, and overall this low here, but which would be probably too much to ask for within the 5 days or 4 days of this week, because there's a USD bank holiday. So let's move on to the 4-hour. So you'll start to notice here on the 4-hour our fractal market maker sell model. So that pullback on the daily, obviously on the 4-hour is a larger fractal 4-hour market maker sell model. You see we created a buy side curve here. I haven't drawn in the bullish PDAs, but I'm sure you can see them, the order blocks and imbalances that price was respecting. Then price began to eventually create its bearish ones, right, using inverted fair value gaps and making lower lows on this side, forming a sell side curve, right? So the same rules will now apply. On the fractal, our short-term draw of liquidity is previous weekly low. Price has pulled back within this bearish leg here on the 4-hour from Friday to our premium. Right, at the moment we're disrespecting it. As I said, price may come for the Friday high. This 4-hour candle still has 3 hours and 20 minutes to close, so it may close out some sort of high test where its body actually respects this order block and imbalance here. So at the moment, higher time frame and lower time frame are aligned for bearish order flow to continue. We've got lower time frame market maker sell model targeting this November low as well, right, from back here. And with a fractal 1-hour and M15 market maker sell model also present, targeting this previous weekly low. You'll see that on the 1-hour and M15, right? This zone here is a fractal. So I think the 4-hour is clear. It's obviously looking more like the daily, but you can see that within that larger daily picture, we have smaller fractals here, right, to play out, which all align with our daily bearish picture as well. So you see where we took some sell side liquidity and we are pulling back. So we'll see if we come for these highs or not, or respect this zone. But once we create a high of the week somewhere, which may be above here, we'll then look for a fractal market maker sell model within here to target these lows. This may become the main draw of liquidity for the week if we pull back too far as opposed to this one. So let's go down to the hourly. Let's see how that looks for us. So zoomed in here on the hourly, you can see it a bit more obvious about this fractal target here. You can see where we're creating a sort of buy side curve. We're creating low resistance liquidity because the lows are fairly close to each other. Even though we swept that sell side liquidity here, the real bullish reaction isn't happening until today. We also have a 1 hour overlapping imbalance and order block here, so we'll see how this candle closes. Right, there's 15 minutes left. We was respecting this zone here previously, but at the moment we are definitely in bullish order flow on this 1 hour and M15 in the short term anyway, within this bearish leg. So hope that wasn't too complicated, but at the moment price is bullish. Right, we're waiting for price to top out. It's Monday, so we'll see what happens maybe in the New York kill zone. Right, we're going to wait for some bearish order flow to then target down to this zone here. We'll see if price requires the buy side liquidity from above here, or if we'll just respect this zone within the next 15 minutes on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, right, if we dance around in this zone. So in the short term for today, let's see what the M15 looks like currently. So the M15 is where our fractal that we'll be working within, say today, tomorrow, the next couple of days, is the clearest, right, with this potential buy side and sell side curve and this short-term fractal here. You can see price is painting a bullish picture at the moment on the M15, so we would be waiting for that to top out and switch, right, with a potential curve here. We have this nice trend line liquidity going on, which is why I called it low resistance liquidity. We can link this low to this low to this low here. So once price does form some sort of lower low, shows that order flow on the M15 respecting a bearish M15 POI or PDA, right? Whereas currently we have these bullish ones being respected here. Then we'll be looking to take advantage of the shorts with the higher time frame and creating a sell side curve to come down for these zones here. So at the moment, as I said, it's bullish. We're waiting for that to switch around for today. It may happen tomorrow, but we'll see if we get any trade today. Right, and then we can follow that higher time frame direction and these lower time frame fractals down towards this zone here. So just coming back up to the daily before we wrap up, so you can see the weekly outlook still remains as bearish, right? This is a weekly outlook. Don't want to get too sucked into the short-term M15. We may target this previous daily high from this imbalance coming from this BPR imbalance zone here before we top out, creating a Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday high here, and then we can look to take advantage of that fractal internal curve down towards these main drills of the week. So I hope that was clear. Any questions, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.